So my name is Scott Dysart. I work in the training unit here at the LI. My partner in crime, friend John Ross in the back, he has not seen Bloom in a while, so he's going to come and listen in, and I may rope him into helping with things if you need help. I hope this is a very relaxed session and you have lots of time to practice. Today we will look at some of the basic things about Bloom, and then on Friday we will look at how to make audiobooks and some of the more advanced moving picture things for sign language and things of that nature. So to begin with, so this is Bloom when you open it up. When you first open Bloom, it'll ask you to make a collection. I'll show you that in a minute. But so this is Bloom. Here are the books that you have in your collection. Right now I just have one. And down here are templates. Bloom tries to make things very easy. So it has some basic templates that you can use, and we'll look at those. And then the options are your collection, and then edit, and then publish. That's printing or to the web. We'll look at that later. And then over here is editing the book. You click on it, we'll look into that. And then some settings and some options. One thing I wanted to show is SIL has attempted to, we use the phrase localize to make the language, the user interface in other languages. And see down, get back here. Down here that Thai is one of them. There's a thing called eBloomLibary we will look at later, where you can get more templates from books already created. Again, Bloom is trying to make it easy, because some people like to work on computers like myself, but I cannot come up with an original story at all. I am not a storyteller. But you don't need to be a storyteller if you can find stories that have already been created. Then you can just translate them into your own language. So that is what eBloomLibary is for. And some of the books in eBloomLibary are stories. Some of them are science books, like there's a COVID book in here has been translated into a lot of different languages, and we'll look into that later. Bloom has a lot of helps available. Over here, there's an icon, little question mark, and there's some documentation, some PDF manuals on how to use Bloom. There's some training videos. If you click on that link, training videos, it will take you to this web page, Vimeo, that has a lot of videos, so you can click on. Some of them are a bit old, but some things in Bloom don't change. So even though the video is old, you should still be able to find it. But I hope to be able to show you most of the things that you would need to use in Bloom anyway. So, and you will have lots of practice, but I wanted to show you where the helps are. So if you have questions later, so I'm going to bring Bloom back up. Get back here. All right, so this is Bloom. Oh, and also, there's also, we have an online forum for Bloom that you can ask questions. It's community.software.sl.org, and then Bloom is among the list of things. So there's someplace you can go. People post, like any online forum, you can ask questions and people will answer. The developers for Bloom are very responsive to the forum. They will very quick to help, and they want to make the software useful, so they will respond. So I just wanted to show you where you can go to get help in the future, should you want it. Okay. So now I'm going to explain collection in a library term. A collection is like a group of books. So you may have a collection of books on science, on math. So you can make a collection. I'll get back here, and of course, Bloom brings this window over to the screen that I don't have on my, I'm not sharing. So when you first start Bloom, you get this screen, and there will not be any collections here, but I already have one. But we're going to make a new collection, so I can show you the process. And of course, it brings it over here. So there are two options: a local language collection, that's the most common. A source collection is if you have the idea of you're going to make a book in Thai, then you're going to translate into a lot of minority languages. That's a source collection. This book will be the source for many other books. A local language collection is if you are going to make a book in the language you're working with right away. And that's the most common. And then there is a way to take a book that you've made in a local language and then turn it into a source collection, but we won't get into that. but the way does exist. So I'm going to click next, and you can choose your language. I'm going to choose English, but you can pick, I'll show you, there are a lot of languages. You can pick Thai, you can pick, I think even Lawa is in here. It's just a list of languages. The Lawa is in here, some Eastern and Western, but I'm going to pick English. And then you can change the name of the book here, the language, to be what you wish it to be, because sometimes a language will have multiple names. What does the language group refer to themselves? You might want to put that in there. So I'm going to click next, and then you pick your font. Indica is a typical English literacy font. I'm going to keep that, but if you were to use Thai, you would want some Aung San Anu or Lawa or whatever, or sorry, Lilo Sawadi or some other script. Important to know that in Southeast Asia, anyway, if you need more spacing between the lines, there's this checkbox here, and then you can click default line spacing. You can make it 1.5 or 2 times as big, depending upon what you want it to be, and you can go back and change that later. But I'm going to leave it. I'm going to uncheck it and click next. And then you can put the language location if you want to. This will appear in the book. I tend not to, because I make training manuals for how to, just examples of how to use in Bloom. But if you want to add that information, you can. And then you want to give a title. The only thing, Bloom, I already have a collection called English Books. So I cannot make another name of English Books. So I'm just going to be very creative and call it English Books 2. I am not a creative person. So, but again, so this is left to your own organizing style. So if you're like me and you put everything in the same drawer, no matter what it is, one big collection. But if you think everything has its proper place, you can have your children's books in one collection. You can have your science books in another collection. You can have your math books. You can have your scripture books, anything in a collection. Depends completely on you and how you best organize. And then I will click finish. And then of course, Bloom comes over here. So now you can see I have my English Books 2, and there are no books in my collection. And let's say I didn't show it yet. I'm going to click on the settings icon here. It looks like a little wrench. I have an option for multiple languages, as it will accept as many as 3 languages, and we'll show how that will work. I'm going to say, for my own purposes, that I'm going to have English and Spanish as a second language. Okay, Spanish. I'll bring this over here so you can see. It's important to know that the local language will always be in the book. Language 2 and language 3 will only be in the book if you make certain setting changes, and we'll show that later. So if you are working in a minority language group, you may want to have like Lawa or another language be the local language, and then Thai be the other be the national language, be language 2, or example national language. And then Bloom will want to restart, and then of course it comes over here. So now I'm going to come down here and look at my templates. Again, Bloom tries to make it very easy. We're going to use a basic book. You know what a big book is. Sign language is for sign language. We may look into that on Friday. We'll look into comic books on Friday. That's a new thing. But it'll work like basic book, but it'll have the little comic book bubbles. Okay, so we'll click on basic book, and then you have an option to make book using this source. So now I have my book, and I will want to give it a title, and up here, one language. Right now, English was my local language, so that always appears. I'm going to give it English and Spanish just to show. And I've prepared a story that I use for this demonstration. Well, it's a story I use called Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. It's just this English story. And then I'm going to cheat and say, I'm going to copy that into Google Translate, English, Spanish. This is Goldilocks and the Three Bears in Spanish. What you have here is your title page, but this down here we have the option to add pages. You have your inside front cover. If you imagine a book, the title page, inside front cover, or the front cover, inside front cover, title page, credit page, like the front of the book, back of the book, and then inside back cover and outside back cover, and there's no story whatsoever. This would be a very boring book. Kids would not look at it. So what you want to do is click Add Page. In your basic book, you have these templates. And just to give you an idea, so every time you see a picture, that tells you, or every time you see a flower, that is where this basic picture is, or basic page is picture at the top, text on the bottom. This would be text, picture, text. And this is all picture. This is all text. So we're going to pick this one and click Add Page. All right. And now I have my page, and I'm going to, come on, what did I do? I squeezed it to size so you can see the whole picture, and it flashed on me. So down here, I can type, once there was a girl named Goldilocks. And then she was a very silly girl. Okay, so that's my text. And actually, all English fairy tales begin with once upon a time. That's our frame of reference, that all fairy tales were once upon a time. So that's my text. So now I want to add a picture. So in Bloom, you can copy paste, like if you have a picture like Word or something, you can copy paste. This is the paste from the clipboard on your computer, or you can browse to find a picture. And Bloom has several options. Image galleries, Art of Reading is an example of a gallery. It's a prepared collection of pictures, and Bloom knows about it, Art of Reading. Or you can browse on your own computer, like a normal file viewer, you can browse. So, but I'm going to use image galleries, and I'm going to type girl. Yeah, this is a search, and this is searching the index in the galleries, which is Art of Reading. And also, it's an index file, so Art of Reading knows it has tags for pictures, words associated with pictures, and it has Thai in here. So if I could type the word girl, the same images would show up. So I'm going to type girl, and then I'm doing a search. And these are all of the pictures in Art of Reading that have the word girl associated with them. I'm going to pick. These are black and white pencil drawings, so there's going to be no blonde hair girls called Goldilocks, but this is okay. It's just a demonstration. So now I've added my picture of a girl. And if I want to do 2 languages, Spanish, I can do, I'm going to copy paste this in here. Control C, Control B, and then copy over here. I won't do this all the time. I just want to show you how it works. So now when it prints the page, there'll be text and then English and then Spanish. If I want to switch back to one language, so if I up here the language option, one language. So what I've done is I've decided that I want this just to be an English book, but I've already included the national language in the script, in the text. So it's brought it over here to where I can look at it. So if I were really prepared for this presentation, I would have filled out the story in Spanish and then gone through and put it in English just to show you how it would work. But I just wanted to show you. So if the language were here, if say you wanted to make a copy of this book, you've already had the national language in it, but now you're putting it into another language, it would exist right. The pop-out would be right here and you can type it. So this is how it would look for multiple languages. So I'm going to go back to 2 languages. you cannot change a language when you're inside the book. So to change the languages associated with the collection, you go to collections. So I'm out of the book, and up here in settings for the collection, I can click change, and I can change the language. Okay, delete a collection. All right, you go to other collections and get back over here. And well, you can't delete them here, but these all exist. This is a good time to show as any. The collections all exist. Inside your documents folder is a folder called Bloom, and all of your collections exist in that folder called Bloom. So this, just delete the folder. And also, since we're here, if you work on a collection and you want to give it to somebody else, you can copy that folder. In this example, I could copy English Book 2 and give it to John, and then John could put it in Bloom, the Bloom folder. Yes. Yeah. Yes. All right. So we're going to go back. All right. A question mark? Okay. So are you seeing a question mark up here? Okay. That's a good question. So when you're adding a picture, it's very important that you get the copyright information correct. And one of the values of using art of reading is that all of the copyright information is embedded in the software. So Bloom knows about it. So you can click the C, and this is the copyright information for art of reading. But if you pulled a picture that like if you're with FAL and you've created a picture and you've imported the picture, you have to click that question mark to add the copyright information. So we've looked at adding pages, and I'm going to add another picture on the bottom, and the text at the top, English. She went for a walk in the woods and saw a cabin, a house in the woods. So I'm going to do a search for cabin. That's even got some bears. We'll go with that one just because it fits the story. Although had she seen bears going in the cabin, she would not have done what she's about to do. So that's I've added 2 pictures now. What asked while on the break was, can you change the layout? And you can, provided you pick one of the, if your page was already one of the basic option layouts, you can pick, and Bloom will do its best to comply with your change. So on this picture, I've clicked the little arrow and click choose different layout. And right now it is picture on the bottom, text on top. I'm going to check it to picture on the top, text on bottom. If I were to pick this picture, it would just give me the picture, no text. And this would give me the text, no picture. I actually don't know what happens to the text if you have text and you pick this, if it just deletes the text or if it hides it. I actually don't know. Actually, let's find out what happens. Uh-oh, converting this to this layout will cause some content to be lost. That's nice to know. So don't do that. All right, so we're gonna go with this one. I'm glad they added that morning. And you also have an option to change it all the way through. So if I had this picture on the bottom, text on top everywhere, and I want to make them all text on top or picture on top, text on bottom, I can check that box. And we wait for it. It's doing it in the preview, but it's not showing it here yet. Okay. Now I'm going to add a page because I want more story. And I want to show you this option for custom picture. Because again, Bloom is trying to make it easy for you. So if you're like me and you can't come up with your own story, you can go out to eBloomLibary and download stories. Or if you can come up with your own good story, but you don't want to deal with layout. Like layout is just crazy. I just want the kids don't care. They like the books. Then you can just pick one of these. But if you are someone who is particular about how you want your pages to look, or you have an idea, like with this particular story, there's this thing here called custom page. And we'll wait for it to come up. Okay, so at the top here, there's this option for change layout that existed on all the other pages, but it was turned off. I'm gonna get back here. Come on. When that little slider is all completely purple, I can make changes, and you can see these dividing lines, dashes and dots and pluses and minus. That's and I can cut the page in half based on which picture. So I can do this, and I can do it again. So now it's divided in third, and then I can bring this line down so it can be divided in thirds. And I can choose if I want this to be text, I can picture text, and you can split those and turn that off. And now I have this template, which is essentially a template that's already existed. I'm actually going to remove this page. I'm going to add a custom page and wait for it to come up. Oh, come on. And so I'm going to divide here and divide here. And I'm going to kind of make it kind of in the middle, 30, 31, 30. It doesn't have to be exact. And then I'm going to divide here. I'm going to divide here. And I'm going to divide here. And according to my layout, I want this to be text, this box to be picture, this to be picture, this box to be text, this to be text, and this to be picture. So inside the text box, when you have to click on the change layout, and then you click on the little gear and borders and background. And then you have, I'm going to click the little round one just to see what it does. And picture doesn't seem to have, I don't see how I can make a picture I can't put the border around the picture. But I can't put it around text. Oh, alignment. Here you are. Hey. Yeah. So in looking around, experimenting, I saw that I can pick what language I want to be in a text box. So I'm going to click text box. I have my normal, my local language. I wanted to show the national language in this instance. Large bowl. There's no spell check. So if you mess up your language, yeah. All right. So I'm going to add some pictures. And again, I'm using Art of Reading, but you can use your own pictures here. We'll look for a bowl. And I'm going to go with, just look down. I'm looking for a little bowl. That looks like a little bowl. And then I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to look for another bowl. And I'm going to find, see if I can find a bigger bowl. That's a bigger bowl. Even has something in it. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a large bowl when it decides to let me. Bowl. And I just kind of scroll down If I find a bowl I want. Oh, I saw a big one. That's a big bowl. Okay. Okay, so now I've got that set of 3. And then in the story, I would have added the page she goes in the house. And when she gets in the house, she sees these things. And then in the story, she tries the little bowl. It's too cold. Or is it too cold? No, she tries the big bowl. It's too hot. The medium-sized bowl, it's too cold. And the little bowl, it's just right. And then she eats it all up. That's the story. And then the next thing she sees is a group of 3 chairs. So I'm going to copy this page, as I don't want to have to recreate that. I'm going to duplicate the page. So now I see I have 2 pages that are exactly the same. So I can come in and say, she sees a little chair. She sees a medium-sized chair. And she sees a large chair. And then I can come in and I can replace that chair, that bowl picture, with a chair. Oh, that looks like a little chair. And then I'm going to change this chair. That looks like, in the story, it's the mama's chair. That looks like the mama's chair. Nice mama chair. And then she sees a large chair. And this is the Papa Bear chair. And it's got to be a big chair to support a big bear. Yeah. I'm going to go with the one on top. That's just a big, that's a big thing to sit on. And that's not comfortable. So then she sits on the chairs. The big chair is too hard. The medium-sized chair is too soft. The little chair is just right, but then she breaks it. She's not a very good girl. And then she goes upstairs. She's rummaging around the house, finds the beds, and then she sees a little bed, a medium-sized bed, and a big bed. The big bed's too hard. The medium bed is too soft. The little bed is just right, and then she takes a nap. And then the story goes, the bears come in the house. Oh, someone's been eating my porridge. Oh, someone's been in my chair and you broke it. And then there's someone in my bed. And then any good, proper, true story is that she gets munched. But this is an American fairy tale. Then she escapes out the back door, hopefully to learn her lesson. But that's an example. That's this story. So if I wanted to include the 3 beds part of the story, I would click on the down link and then duplicate the page. And then I could make this to be a bed. I'm not going to do that. I also wanted to show you that once you've made a page, you can move it around. So this, just to demonstrate, I'm going to take this page as number 5, and I'm going to drag it. So now it exists. It sits as the second page, but I'm going to put it back at the end. All right. Come on. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is how you can make a custom page. There are some other things that you can change in the book. So you are familiar with the idea of styles, like in Microsoft Word. You can make style changes in Bloom as well. So let's say in my example here, she sees a little chair, she sees a medium-sized chair, and she sees a large chair. I want to have this text to be small, this text to be normal, and this text to be big. So I can come up here to the little gears some of you have found, and get back here. I can go to characters, and I'll go back here, change the font size to something smaller, but that affects it everywhere. So that's not good. Or I can come down here and get back here. I can change this setting. Come on. The characters, something really big. And and it works, but it's not what I want for style. I want this to be big, this to be medium, and this to be small. So I need to make a custom style. And all those changes I made applied to every page. That when you change the style, the settings for the style, it changes that style everywhere it is used. So you can see that here that is bigger. And so I'm going to come back. I'm going to click on the gear. And come on. I'm going to create a new style. And when you click create a new style, it is copying the style that's in the box. So I'm going to click create a new style, and I'm going to call it small normal, because everything else is the same. And you can name them whatever you want. And then I'm going to make characters for small normal, come on, to be something 10. So that applies here, but it didn't change here, and it didn't change down here. So in my story, I like the 3. So I'm going to come here to my bowls, and I'm going to apply small style to the bowl. Come on. And somewhere down here is small style. Okay. And I'm going to keep this text normal. I'm going to make this text smaller, because this text is too big here. I'm going to, come on. I click the gear, and I'm going to change the character from 26 to 15. Come on. I'll make it 16. And so now this text is really small. This text is my normal size. I want to make this one big. So I'm going to go down here to custom to style, create a new style. Come on. You can't see it down here. Can I drag it up? Yeah, drag it up. Big normal. Because it's copying everything from normal. And I'm going to change this to 20. So now it's bigger. So little, normal, bigger. And then I can come to my page. And I can tell it to apply the new style. Call this big normal. Big normal. Okay. And so now, if I am showing my team my idea, like I'm really excited because I like my idea of having little, normal, and big, they could say, yeah, that's a nice idea, but that's just too small. They're not going to read this. So we can say, well, how big do you think it needs to be? And then I can change the character, come on, to maybe we say 12. And we all agree that 12 is okay. I still have my idea of little, normal, and big. But because I made a change to the style, that change applies everywhere the style is. So I don't need to go to every page, every box, and make that change. So that's handy. So another thing that you can do is you can highlight individual words. So if I want to emphasize something, I can make the word little bold. I can make the word medium bold, and I can make large bold. So you can see it's emboldened a little bit. Layout, that is in with the style. So for small, normal, say I want to go, I like these things, I can go to paragraph, and you have the option of indenting or alignment in the middle. Right. So one other thing I wanted to show you is that Bloom can give you hints when there's a problem. So I added this real picture on the break, while on the break, I added this text, this page, and I didn't bother adding a picture. Let's say it's normal, and then we're over here in another page. That style is just a normal style. Come on. And we decide that we want to make the normal style, because we're here, we want to make the normal style bigger. Character. Let's make it go from 16 to 20. And we make this back up. So if I come back over here to the picture page I just added, you can see that the text is red. That means there's text that is flowing past the size of the box. So if I were to come off of the page, and within a few minutes of that happening, Bloom will, as some sort of a refresh cycle, Bloom will identify that there is a problem and give you this little symbol that draws your attention to this page. It says you need to fix this page. So I come to this page, and you can see that the problem is the text. The text is too big. So I have the option. I can fix it a couple ways. I can draw upset. I can bring the size of the picture down just a little bit, and that solves the problem. Or come on, say I don't want to do that because I want the picture to be that size. I can change the size to something smaller. But of course, because I'm changing the style, the normal style, that change applies everywhere that style is used. The other option, come back here. We just look at the text, and in addition to finding out that I misspelled the word ever, you could say, or well, I even told her, yeah, I'm just not good at this. Come on. You can come up with other ways of saying the same thing. Choose different words. So you can either change the size of the box, change the font, or change the words that you've chosen. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how BloomLibary can work for you. But to do that, I'm going to go back to my collection, and I'm going to make a new collection. And I'm going to go down to the bottom of, come on, books from bloomlibrary.org. And I'm going to minimize Bloom here. So this is BloomLibary. That link will bring you to this page, and you have the option of searching by languages. So you can find a book by language. I can type the word Thai if I want to. This is Northern Thai, and it's basically just a straight out text search. So it found anything close. Or Northern Thai. There are 2 books in here. I don't even know. I'm veering off script. I don't know what these books are. Oh, that's the COVID book. Okay, in Northern Thai. I'm gonna hit the back button. Then you can search by topic. So supposed to be able to search. Okay, I can search for books. I'm going to type a search for the word malaria, for example. Say there's you can examine the book on BloomLibary itself. Just might take a minute. And you can malaria, and it's an example of how what is in. This is like just a straight out, a book on where malaria comes from. How do you get it? And then how? So if you wanted to, you can download this book and translate it into your own language, or you can look for other books. Go back here. Back. Or you can look for just animal stories. So come on. So I'm actually going to, I took a look and I found this story in BloomLibary. I just kind of scrolled down until I just kind of looked in, I'm not even sure where I looked. Here's some Bible story books, COVID-19 books. A lot of organizations have put stories in here. So again, this is a help for if you're like me and I can't come up with an original story that a child would find even remotely interesting. I just can't. Or if I know that we have a problem, again, like there's a malaria epidemic in our area, I want to find a book about malaria. You can come in here and you can look and maybe something exists. Or if you want to do a Bible story book or anything, like here's SIL lead books. You can even just look around to see what you might find interesting. Anything can be found. But I was looking around and I found this story. And so the option is you could translate it into your language. You could download it into Bloom Editor. And the copyright, this is World Vision. I did a Google Translate and that's World Vision in Thailand. So I'm going to click download, translate into your language, download into Bloom Editor, and download the book. And this will take a minute. It'll want to open it in Bloom. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to pop open that box here. So it's downloading. Okay, so of course, come over here and you can see it in the books from BloomLibary.org section of your collection. Hit the OK button. And I'm going to go back to Bloom. And if I scroll down at the bottom, I can now see the book in the selection. And I'm going to click make a book using this source, just like a basic book. And I don't know where the English title came from. And so here's the content page. The land make a living of the. You can edit these things. I don't know where that came from. And so here's the copyright. You're free to make commercial work of this book. You may adapt it and add to this work. You must keep the copyright editors, illustrators. So while you can download things from BloomLibary to use, you have to abide by the copyright for that particular book. And in this particular book, it's saying you can make a commercial use of it. You can actually use this book and sell this book if you wanted to. Some books in the library will say you cannot do that. So you just need to abide by the copyright for that book. All right. Okay, so here we come. So here are the people who made the book, I guess. And I'm going to minimize this so we can see. Come on. Oh, on the wrong page. So here's, I guess it must be a big book example, I guess. And it should be showing me the balloon, the pop out. Okay, so you can see over here that this is the text that was in Thai. So then you can just translate the text into the language that you want the book to be in. So if I could read this in English, if I could read Thai, I could just put it in English, or if I could was in my other language, I could read it. And then you just work down the book. So that is an example of how eBloomLibary can work for you. You don't need to create your own resources. You can just go up, find a book with pictures that you like, find stories that you like, find topics that you think are relevant. So then the next thing to do would be to, so I've made this book. Let's say I've worked through the process of my Goldilocks book and I've made it and I'm happy with it. What do I do with it? You can click on publish and this gives you some options. You can make a simple PDF out of it. And this is from the title, from the cover page, all the way to the end, everything in the book. Oh, I forgot. Copyright information for the pictures. That's important. Edit this book. Okay, so this box here on the title page is where you can paste in image credits. So it says, it just so happened that all of the pictures that I chose were images from the Art of Reading program. If I had a mix between Art of Reading and my own things, they would have listed here and the page number. So it's handy. Yeah. So it saves some having to keep track of that stuff yourself. Right. So now that I've realized I fixed that mistake, I can go back to publish. I can take a look at my book in just a simple PDF. This is 1 page per piece of paper. So then you can print it out on your local printer just to take a look at it. So my book is 12 pages from opening cover to closing cover. So here's the copyright information. Book girl, come on. That's my texty page. I forgot to put a picture. And then idea with this is you can then just look at it and just like any proofreading, just kind of fix this, you know, make this change, kind of look at it. And then you just work your way down the book. And then if you like what it looks like, you want to print it, you have a couple options. You could take this PDF to a print shop and they might be able to print it as a booklet, or Bloom knows that you want to print it as a booklet. So you can click on the option here for booklet insides, and it knows the difference between your cover page, the 2 cover pages, and the content of your book. So it'll make a PDF that is organized, proper layout for printing on your home printer. So if you know how to do this, how your printer works, you can either print it, you can save this as a PDF to take it to a print shop, or you can click your own print and it gives you this little example of how you want to set it up. I always have this show me because I never remember. I set up for the right size page, actual size, print on both sides of the paper. Now, if your printer can do duplex, you're all set. But if you're like the one upstairs or at my house, you have to remember which way to orient the page, and that always gets kind of confusing. But okay, so you can print the inside of the book on regular paper, and then you can print the outside of the book on like a special cardstock, heavier paper for like the protective. And then the other options are electronic, getting it on the phone. So let's say I don't have art of reading. So on my, let's see if we can do this. On, how do we want to demonstrate this? On Bloom has, actually let's do it this way, play, do.com, eBloomLibary. eBloomLibary, here we are. Okay, so Bloom also has what's called the Bloom Reader, and this will work on Android. So I'm gonna, as far as I know, there's not one for Apple products. So I'm actually going to install this on my phone. And so if you have Bloom Reader on your phone or on a phone, you can output this to a Bloom Reader file, the book. And you have three options. You can share over Wi-Fi. This is what the Bloombook would look like. It's not a motion book. We'll talk about that on Friday. You can save it as a Bloom Reader file, which makes this file called BloomD. And then you could take that BloomD file and put it on a Facebook page, online, or any social media. And then if a person who has Bloom Reader on their phone can click on that link, and then they can read the book on their phone. So, or you can send it over USB. So the Bloom Reader file is the easiest thing. Then you just put it on Facebook and people can have it. And, okay, this is the Bloom Reader app on my phone. When you install Bloom Reader app on your phone, it comes with an initial book for the demonstration, The Moon and the Cap. I'm going to play it. And you can see, you can slide left and right. Okay. And ask some questions. And the book. Also, you can see on here the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This is from a previous book I've created. I got the BloomD file on my computer. I can click the play button, and you can see that this time there's audio. You can see it's reading. And you can see that this picture doesn't have audio. And you can see the examples of my three. I wanted to show Bloom Reader real quick on the phone. So, sharing on the web. This is how Bloom gets its books. The eBloomLibary gets its stuff. You can click on share on the web. And let's say that for whatever reason, I thought that this Goldilocks and the Three Bears book was something really worth sharing with other people. Or I wanted other people in the organization to be able to get at it. Here's the title. I can give it a summary. Is it accessible to the blind? No. We'll talk more about those things on Friday. I just want to upload the English text. It has no audio. You have to make a Bloom account. I'm not going to upload this one, but I have uploaded things before. So you just sign into Bloom, and then they can upload to Bloom, and then other people can download it. You'll get the link to the file. So if you wanted to share this within your group, saying this is my example book, then people on your team can download it on their Bloom, and then they can edit it, or people can look at it and read it on the internet. So that's eBloomLibary.